Hey girl, what you doing? Oh, I'm not that busy. I'm helping Joe Biden hide all his documents. I ain't got nothing else to do, and I'm about waiting on Peter Boykin's Go Right News to come on. But I can talk.
Ladies and gentlemen, step right up, step right up. The Biden clown house is on fire.
When you saw the photograph of the top secret documents laid out on the floor at Mar-a-Lago, what did you think to yourself, looking at that image?
How that could possibly happen. How anyone could be that irresponsible. And I thought, what data was in there that may compromise sources and methods? By that I mean names of people who helped, or etc. And it's just totally irresponsible.
Send in the clowns! Woo!
Barack and I think it's a right for people to have bad health care.
My son's business dealings were not anything with everybody that he's talking about.
I'll lead an effective strategy to mobilize true international effort to pressure. We've now hit 9 million cases nationwide. I know how hard it is. Look, tomorrow's Super Tuesday, and I want to thank you all. I tell you what, I'm rushing ahead, aren't I? We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by the you know the thing.
I watched what happened when the kids from Parkland marched up to, and I met with them, and then they went off to up on the hill when I was vice president. They went off the hill to go into those neighborhoods. All those congressmen were like, "No, I'm not here. Don't tell them I'm around."
We choose unity over division. We choose science over fiction. We choose truth over facts.
Words that stun the nation, and I would argue, I know, shocked the world. International leaders spoke about it. You had people like you had people like the former chairman and leader of the party in Germany. You had Angela Merkel. We have this notion that somehow if you're poor, you cannot do it. Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids. Wealthy kids, black kids, Asian kids.
I never believed we'd have to fight this hard, though. I never believed it'd be this much in jeopardy. We launched our campaign over on the Oval back in May 2019. But you know what I said then, we've been through a lot since then. What I said then is even more true today.
COVID has taken this year, just since the outbreak, has taken more than 100 years. Look, here's the lives. When you think about it.
I come out of the black community in terms of my support. If you notice, I have more people supporting me in the black community that have announced for me. The only African-American woman that ever been elected to the United States Senate. A whole range of people.
No,
my point is...
That's not true. The other one is here.
I said the first. African-American elected.
And we're going to create a new bio-based multi-manufacturing job for, environment to deal farmers in on the benefits of a changing economy. One of the things that the leader of the United States Senate, the Speaker of the House.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
And it's just totally irresponsible.
This clip of Joe Biden being asked about classified material stored in his garage is insane, from the question framing by Peter Ducey to Biden's mumbled, scripted response. Watch.
Mr. President,
Okay.
classified material next to your Corvette? What were you thinking?
I'm going to get a chance to speak on all this, God willing, soon. But as I said earlier this week, people, and by the way, my Corvette's in a locked garage, okay? So it's not like you're sitting out in the street. But at any rate, yes, as well as my Corvette. But as I said earlier this week, people know I take classified documents and classified material seriously. I also said we're cooperating fully and completely with the Justice Department's review. As part of that process, my lawyers reviewed other places where documents from my time as vice president were stored, and they finished the review last night. They discovered a small number of documents of classified markings in storage areas and file cabinets in my home and my personal library. This was done in the case of the Biden Penn. This was done in the case of the Biden Penn Center. The Department of Justice was immediately, as was done, the Department of Justice was immediately notified, and the lawyers arranged for the Department of Justice to take possession of the document. So we're going to see all this unfold. I'm confident. Thank you very much.
Bring in the hags. The hags on the View are melting down over Biden's classified documents because it hurts their witch hunt against Trump. Now, let me remind you that Joy Behar basically said that we think Donald Trump is a liar and cheat, but we give Joe Biden a benefit of a doubt. Meanwhile, the conspiracy theorists on The View are suggesting that Republicans planted classified documents in Joe Biden's garage. Yeah, who's queuing up now?
You know what I think? I've never seen a luckier person than Donald Trump. Just as we're this close to getting him, but somehow these documents appear.
But here's the thing: Biden is wrong to have done this. He was in office for 40 years.
Let's find out what this is first. Now, again, one of the things that gets me crazy is before we know, it's already been spun a specific way. I don't want to see that. I want to see. Someone explain to me, A, how it's possible that after all this time, nobody knew this? Because to me, if you're missing classified information, I don't mean to laugh, but in my house, if stuff is missing, I know it's missing.
Does it feel like Oppo research to you? Does it feel like the Republicans are behind it?
It's not. It did originally, but I'm sorry, but not now. Because one of the things he's saying is that some of the locations where the docs may have been shipped in the transition may have gotten taken and put.
And here's Vice President Kamala Harris. Quote, I think of this moment as a moment that is about great momentum, inspired by, yes, optimism, but also inspired by our collective ability to see what can be unburdened by what has been. I think she plays ad-lib. She's like the exact opposite of Joe Biden, who basically makes up words and leaves out words. Kamala Harris puts in extra words and then turns it around to, what? What'd you say? Watch.
I think of this moment as a moment that is about great momentum, inspired by, yes, optimism, inspired by a crisis, no doubt, but inspired by also our collective ability to see what can be unburdened by what has been. And that's critically important.
It's getting too hot for Joe Biden.
Oh, it's getting hot in here, so take off all your clothes.
It's getting hot in her. Bonus points for anyone who gets my 2002 song reference in the headline. We'll be right back with this story from Go Right News. You can follow us on GoRightNews.com for more information. Hi, fellow patriots. This is Peter Boykin from #GoRight. Share this right now. Time to go right. Former U.S. Attorney Robert Hur, H-U-R, to investigate Joe Biden's improper handling of the Obama administration error classified documents. There are already concerns over Hur's political biases. These classified documents, which include classified information about Ukraine, Iran, and UK, were removed back when Joe was VP and have been illegally held for about 6 years. Probably outdated information, but still. According to his attorneys, they found the documents on November 2nd, the day before the midterm elections, but somehow we didn't learn about them until the House was taken over by the Republicans. Now you might ask, who is Robert Hur? His bio would tell you he's a former federal prosecutor who has spent the last few years as a partner at a private law firm. specializing in white-collar defense and national security. But when you look under the hood, you find her in all the wrong places. One, her and the Dirty Dossier. Remember the Dirty Dossier, written by Christopher Steele and paid by Hillary Clinton, which launched the entire Russia collusion hoax, Russiagate? The GOP Housewoman Chair Elise Stefanik, well, these people's got weird names, pointed out on Twitter. Her, quote, was in the corrupt Steele dossier and directly cited by the DOJ Inspector General as having direct knowledge of the FBI relationship with Christopher Steele. Warning. Danger, danger, danger. Now we're going to get into the weeds, too. Her and the Russia hoax. Later that year in 2016, Her was tasked with overseeing Robert Mueller's investigation of the Russia collusion hoax. During that time, Her had bi-weekly meetings with Mueller's team. Mueller. These people's names. According to Kash Patel, who was part of Trump's Security Council at the time, he and Devin Nunes, who was in Congress at the time defending Trump, were sending congressional subpoenas to the DOJ for information related to the collusion hoax. We'll have a video of that from the War Room after this little article. But Her and then Attorney General Rod Rosenstein blockaded the response to those subpoenas because they wanted to cover up the corruption at the FBI and the DOJ. They were in on it, and then they were in on it now. So I would temper any excitement over the appointment of this special counsel, because it's special, right? Because it sounds like it's part of the problem. It's part of the collusion. Now, in related news, it was revealed that a second, quote, batch of classified documents was found in the garage of Biden's home. His garage. That's definitely not where you keep secure documents. So while the press had an aneurysm over Trump holding classified documents in a locked basement at Mar-a-Lago with 24/7 Secret Service protection, Joe Biden had his classified documents in the garage, somewhere between his lawnmower and Jill's gardening tools. Great. Now, could you imagine storage wars? I bought this storage locker for $100, and I think it was owned by a previous president. Oh, what's this? Documents. Oh, what are these? Say are marked top secret. Oh my! And a laptop that's marked Hunter Biden. Yeah, the source of this is Fox News Representative Elise Stefanik, Daily Wire, and Kash Patel. The link to her Twitter is on the GoRightNews.com. The link to the Daily Wire's articles on GoRightNews.com, and the Rumble video is also on GoRightNews.com. Kash Patel forewarns against the government gangster appointed as special counsel for Biden's leaked documents. This is here from Steve Bannon's The War Room. It's a few minutes. Listen to it. It'll open up your eyes a little bit.
You know, last week we had this big fight about it. Then it got voted in. What's happening here? Is these committees, Republicans now in charge, new sheriff in town? Is that where we're seeing this movement, sir?
Yeah, look, it's great to be with you. And Mike's right. And myself, as a former federal prosecutor, a special counsel on paper is the right move. And it would have been back in November. But the problem is we've seen the corrupt government gangsters go out there and cover up the corrupt activities, namely the likes of Rod Rosenstein, Chris Wray, and Merrick Garland. So when these guys are responsible, remember, Rod Rosenstein appointed Mueller, Comey's best friend, to be special counsel. And now you have a situation where Merrick Garland appoints her special counsel, HUR. Do you know who her is? Rod Rosenstein's #1 lawyer when Rod Rosenstein was the attorney general in charge of the Russiagate investigation, where Devin Nunes and I sent him a dozen subpoenas, and Rosenstein and her blockaded the response to those subpoenas because they wanted to cover up the corruption at the FBI and DOJ. They were in on it then, and they're in on it now, which is why I disagree with the appointment of this guy as special counsel. And here's the most important thing I'm going to say tonight. This guy, Her, needs to be the first one subpoenaed by the new Special Select Committee under Jim Jordan's authority on the weaponization of government. And do you want to know why? Because we have the receipts, Steve, and we're going to release them later, was sending communications to the Justice Department and Rod Rosenstein's crew arguing against the release of the Nunes memo, saying that it would bastardize and destroy the United States national security apparatus. This guy is a swamp monster of the tier 1 level. He's a government gangster. He's now in charge of the continued crime scene cover-up, which is why the first congressional subpoena that has to go out for the Weaponization of Government Subcommittee is against her. He's been in on it since day one. And let's not forget, Rod Rosenstein and her are the 2 top lawyers at DOJ that subpoenaed my records in 2017 when I was the chief investigator for Devin Nunes on the House Intel Committee in Russiagate. We only just found that out and broke that news on your show just a couple of weeks ago. This guy, authorized that subpoena and advised Rod Rosenstein to do so. What other people were they trying to get blackmail information on illegally and unlawfully so they could continue the cover-up operation? This is a swamp monster and a swamp appointment of epic proportion.
I'm going to come back to Davis in a second, but hang on. You're telling me is the deputy over there to Rod Rosenstein. First off, they blocked the 12 subpoenas, number one, to get to the bottom of it. Number two, they would not release the Devin Nunes memo that outed all these guys. And what was number three? What do you say? What was the third one that he did? Because this is the trifecta. How could Garland possibly pick a guy that's in the middle of the Russiagate situation as one of the blockers? How could they do that? How could they be in that face? You know, Jordan. You've got Jordan's going to chair this committee. Are they just throwing down right now, saying screw you? You guys think you're going to connect dots here in the weaponization? We're going to be up in your grill. Hey, how about this? It's bad enough you had as Davis outed the Dick Durbin guy, the AG in Illinois. Now they've tripled up and say, "Hey, Kash Patel, you've got a problem with this? Boom! We'll put the enforcer up there." Is that what they did?
That's exactly what they did. And the third thing was Rod Rosenstein went to the United States Congress in 2018 with his sidekick Kerr by his side and lied to Congress under oath about threatening and investigating congressional staffers. They had already sent the subpoenas, and he lied, and he said he never threatened anyone. What he did mean to say, what he should have said was, I actually have been investigating these guys because they're digging up our dirt. And look, the special counsel, as a former federal prosecutor, I think it's a cherished apparatus that has been destroyed by this appointment and the continued appointments. And now we've seen Mueller, Lausch, and this other guy that's just been appointed, and Jack Smith. The special counsels have become the special forces operators to cover up the swamp corruption for the Justice Department and the FBI. And the only place that can be pierced is congressional subpoenas from this subcommittee that Jim Jordan's running. And I'm calling for him to send this guy and Rod Rosenstein a subpoena and get all the documents. And then I can't wait for them to lie on public in the TVs and I show you the receipt about Rob Hur and his clan at DOJ sending emails arguing against the release of the Nunes memo because it was exposed their corruption.
Okay, I'm going to ask both of you guys to stay through, and I know you got to bounce, Kash, but if you can just stay with me. By the way, Kash's new book, which may be, as I said, the best time book in the history of publishing, Government Gangsters, is coming. Kash, let me just give you a heads up. I don't think they're going to approve it. I think the book that they're going to give you back is the 275 pages of redactions, right? It's Jordan. To prove that the committee is worthwhile, witness number one should be the special prosecutor for the Biden top secret classification issue. Sir, what did you mean by that?
100%. The first person subpoenaed by the special committee should be special counsel Hur, and here's why. All roads lead back to Russiagate, Steve. You and I know that. And as the head of the Russiagate investigation for Chairman Nunes and the author of the Nunes memo, step one, this guy Hur, as Rosenstein's number one lawyer when Rosenstein was the attorney general, after we issued him a dozen subpoenas, they together blocked the production of the FBI documents, the 302s, the Broussard information, and the Christopher Steele information in the dirty dossier. They blocked that information from going to Congress because we had exposed their corruption. They, Rosenstein and Hur. There should be two subpoenas, those guys in tandem, but special counsel Hur first. And here's a kicker, Steve. Special counsel Hur was caught in the United States DOJ Inspector General report to have had communications and knowledge about Christopher Steele and his dossier while the FBI was using that bogus information to feed it to the FISA court to illegally surveil President Trump. Rod Rosenstein signed the third unlawful FISA warrant with his sidekick, special counsel Hurd, next to him, who approved it and who was communicating with people involved in the Christopher Steele dossier and Steele himself. Don't take my word for it. We got the receipts. We're going to release them later. It's in the DOJ IG report, and we have special counsel Hurd, who at the time was the paydag at DOJ, his own emails blocking the Nunes memo.
We've got to get that. Well, we got to get that information. Okay, what you just said right there, though, raises it up. It's not. You can't call him as a first witness. McCarthy, Jordan, these guys tonight should say absolutely not. No way that guy's going to be special counsel on this thing. That's a joke, right? Let's assume for purposes of this conversation, all of that is correct. How can he possibly be the special counsels? Used to be people that, like I said, were like Caesar's wife. This guy's quite frankly, he's an enforcer. Like in the mob, like you talk about government gangsters, he's like an enforcer in the government mob. Is essentially that the analogy?
Yeah, he is responsible for the cover-up. Look, as a former federal prosecutor and Russiagate guy, we went to Rosenstein and Hurd and Chris Wray, we being me and Devin, and said, look, you guys weren't there in the Biden administration. Help us expose the corruption at the FBI and DOJ, and you guys can be the law enforcement heroes. We don't need to be. And instead of doing that, they doubled down and said no and flipped us the finger and said, you guys are crazy. You and Devin Nunes and Jim Jordan and everyone else in Congress. There's no way the FBI lied to the DOJ's FISA court, and there's no way Rod Rosenstein signed that application with special counsel Hurd standing next to him as his paydag. Well, all of that happened, and they knew it. And these guys are responsible for a cover-up that's been going on for as long as Joe Biden's classified documents have been in the wild. 7 years and running. I wouldn't be surprised if these guys and their lawyers, as you talked about in the beginning of the show, were the lawyers who went and found these so-called classified documents at these certain locations. And as you and I, Steve, we called it, there's going to be many more locations. And so Republicans can't go around spiking the football. We have to carry this thing the next 100 yards for the next year and make sure we get every document from these corrupt actors. And the one thing that this new subcommittee can do, and Kevin McCarthy, take the money from this special counsel Hurd and fence it so he no longer has the authority to execute his command issued by government gangster number 1, Merrick Garland, and government gangster number 2, Chris Wray, who is going to handpick the investigators like he did for the cases involving Donald Trump. He's going to pick the Peter Strzoks of the world and the Lisa Pages, and we can't have it.
So Kevin McCarthy said, I'll release all January 6th security footage. Oh, and on a note, under the new House, smoking is now legal again inside of the Congress. So that's for the good smokers in the cigar campus. But he says, I'll release all J6 security footage. Speaker Kevin McCarthy confirmed to reporters he will authorize the release of all the January 6th footage Democrats have been hiding from the American people. McCarthy says, quote, the American public should actually see all what happened instead of a report that it's written for political bias. Now I would like to see that the people who are actually in jails sitting in solitary for a year or two are either freed or get their trials, or, you know, even if their trials by now they should get freed because they've already served the time. But maybe there's some lawsuits. I think people who were involved and got stuff taken from them and harassed should be able to sue the government for J6. They got my phone records for J6. I didn't do a thing. And I will definitely think that was a violation of my rights. Just because I had a permitted rally that was peaceful and I didn't commit any crimes, what gives them the right to have my records? So I'm glad that McCarthy is going to release all the J6 footage. So watch this clip.
Called on Speaker Pelosi at the time to release the J6 Capitol Hill security footage of all things that happened on that day. Is that something that you'd be interested in doing? Congressman Gates said that you would be willing to do that. Is that?
Yeah, I think the public should see what has happened on that day. I've watched what Nancy Pelosi did, where she politicized it, where for the first time in the history as a speaker, not allowing the minority to appoint to a committee to pick and choose. We watched the politicization of this. I think the American public should actually see all what happened instead of a report that's written for a political basis. And I think the answer. We're looking through that. I want to be very thoughtful about it, but yes, I'm engaged to do that.
So McCarthy absolutely lays it out to Eric Swalwell in response to biased reporters' question that McCarthy, shredding Representative Eric Swalwell after confirming his intention to kick him off the Intelligence Committee. McCarthy is doing and saying all the right things so far, so I'll give him credit where it's due. Really strong words from McCarthy here. Let's see if it'll continue.
Why?
You said you're going to let Democrats appoint their own members to the committee, but you've also indicated you're not going to let them.
I was very clear early on. Let me phrase something very direct to you. If you got the briefing I got from the FBI, you wouldn't have Swalwell on any committee. And you're going to tell me other Democrats couldn't fill that slot? He cannot get a security clearance in the private sector. So would you like to give him a government clearance? You asked me questions about Santos. You asked the questions about Swalwell. Not only was he getting a clearance, he was inside an intel committee. He had more information than the majority of all the members. Did you ever raise that issue? No, which you should have. You're going to tell me there's 200 other Democrats that couldn't fill that slot, but they kept him on it? The only way that they even knew it came forward is when they went to nominate him to the Intel Committee. And then the FBI came and told the leadership then, he's got a problem. And they kept him on. That jeopardized all of us. Adam Schiff openly lied to the American public.
All right, so we're listening into new House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. He's continuing taking questions from reporters, a lot of questions from reporters. This is his first weekly press conference as Speaker. Let's talk about some of what has been discussed already.
This is an actual excerpt from Prince Harry's new autobiography, Someone Called Dr. Freud. Warning, graphic language. This book is a Freudian nightmare.
My penis was oscillating between extremely sensitive and borderline traumatized. The last place I wanted to be was Frostnipistan. I'd been trying some home remedies, including one recommended by a friend. She'd urged me to apply Elizabeth Arden cream. My mum used that on her lips. You want me to put that on my todger? It works, Harry, trust me. I found a tube, and the minute I opened it, the smell transported me through time. I felt as if my mother was right there in the room. Then I took a smidge and applied it down there.
This is evil. An elderly man is assaulted when he tries to give money back to a rowdy group of Airbnb renters and tells them to leave. This old Asian man attempts to hand back to rowdy Airbnb renters and tells them to leave. Meanwhile, a black woman slaps him across the face in response. I'm going to tell you, racism exists, and it's not just white on black. It's black on black. It's white on white. It's black on white. And in this case, it's black on Asian. It might be Asian on black as well, but in this, racism is not a good thing, and especially when it turns to violence. And it's this person's home. He doesn't want it wrecked. It's like, here, have your money back. I can't have you in my home destroying the place. I agree. And nobody should be assaulted for trying to protect their house.
Get your money! Yeah!
Damn! Fuck you, bro. What did you want with us? What are you doing all this for?
The cousin of Black Lives Matter founder died of cardiac arrest after police used a taser to subdue him during arrest. LAPD Chief Moore stated in a news conference Anderson's behavior was, quote, erratic, and he suffered a, quote, medical emergency, claiming a preliminary blood test revealed cannabis and cocaine in Anderson's system. Quote, they are trying to George Floyd me. That's according to Keenan Anderson, who was, killed. English teacher, friend, mentor, and so much more tased to death by the LAPD in this encounter. Here is the body footage from the LAPD's interaction with Keenan Anderson. Sad. It's sad. We do back the blue, but the blue has to have responsibility for their actions as well, and has to protect our citizens. And having cocaine and cannabis in your system definitely doesn't warrant the death penalty. So watch this.
Side here. Get on the street. Hey, stop right there. Get up against the wall.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Get up against the wall.
Please, sir, I didn't mean to.
Get up against the wall. Get up against the wall real quick.
Please.
Okay,
Please,
hold on a second.
Please,
Hold on
sir,
a
I didn't
second.
mean to, sir, please.
Hold on,
Please.
okay?
I'm sorry.
Mary 156, show me code 6 on a TC not involved.
Please.
We're going to be Venice, west of Lincoln.
Oh my God.
Possible DUI driver. Can I get additional units, please?
The car.
Okay, what happened?
I lost my key.
You lost your key?
Yes. I came and I had somebody fix my car for me, sir. Please, don't, please,
okay,
sir.
do me a favor, sit in
please.
Hey,
Sir, please.
sit down on your butt and sit with your legs crossed. Sit
Somebody
with your legs
trying to
crossed.
kill me, sir.
Sit with your legs
Please.
crossed.
They're gonna try to kill me, please.
Who's trying to kill you?
I had a stunt today.
What?
I had a stunt today, sir.
You
I
had
didn't mean to.
you had what?
A stunt. Like, no, that's a car.
Okay, what car were you driving?
BMW.
The BMW.
They're trying to put stuff in my car.
Who's trying to put stuff in your car?
They're gonna try to. Please.
Stay down for me. Hey,
Please.
hey, stay
Please.
here. Stay here.
Sir, I need
Stay
some water.
here.
Can you get some water? Please.
Stay here. I'll get you some water here in a second, okay?
Please.
Just have a seat up against the wall there,
Yes, sir.
okay? Have a seat against the wall.
Sir,
Have a seat against the wall here.
Everybody got to see me, sir.
Have a seat
I don't want
against
to
the
be in the
wall
black.
over here.
I want people to see me.
Sir, okay, you can sit
Please,
right there
sir.
then. If you want to be seen,
I don't
sit
wanna
right
sit
there.
No, I don't want to sit right there.
Sit right there if you want to have somebody see you.
Please.
Okay?
Please.
Just sit down for me a second here, okay?
Please, look, sir.
Sit down for me. Sit down.
You're putting a thing on me.
Sit down.
Making
I'm
me
not
hot.
putting anything. Come here.
Please.
Sit down over here.
Please.
I don't want you in the road.
Please.
Come here. I don't want you in the road. Come here.
Please.
Come here.
Please.
Come here.
Please. Please.
Come here. Now, get down over there. Turn over on your stomach right now. Turn over on your stomach right now. Turn over.
Yes.
Turn over.
Yes, sir.
Over on your stomach. Get over on your stomach.
Hold on. Okay, please. Please,
Get
sir.
down.
Please don't do this. Please don't do this, sir. Please. Help me, please. You know what? Help me, please. No, please help me. Help me, please. Please, 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 please.
Keenan, relax.
Keenan, relax. Help! They're trying to kill me. Hey, stop! I'm gonna tase you. Stop it! I'm gonna tase you. I'm gonna tase you. Stop it right now. Stop it right now. Turn over. Turn over. I'm gonna tase you. Turn over. Or I'm gonna tase you. Turn over. I'm gonna tase you. Yes. I can't. Watch your elbow, partner. You're trying to do it for me. You're trying to do it. Stop it. Stop it. Or I'm gonna tase you. Okay. Stop it. Or I'm gonna tase you. Stop it. Or I'm gonna tase you. Stop resisting. Please. Stop resisting. Please. 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 I'm gonna tase him. I'm gonna tase him. They're trying to kill me. They're trying to kill me. Leave me alone. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Yes, sir. Don't resist. No. Stop resisting. Stop resisting. Okay. Stop it. Help. Stop it. Help, please. Help. Do not move. I'm not resisting. Yeah, do not move. Okay. If not, I'm going to tase you again. Okay. Okay, I got one. Okay. Help me. Okay. Here, over. Stop it. Stop resisting. Stop resisting. Put your hands.
again, we've talked about this. People will look over their grocery receipts. They will make sure that they don't get cheated out of $1 or their fries or something like that. They'll worry about every little thing to make sure that they have that penny, that last penny. They will argue with it. But somehow we just ignore how much money we're sending to Ukraine and not asking for the receipts and then giving more. Ukraine has become our welfare baby. Watch this.
Billions and 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 billions, 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 billions.
Thanks for listening to Go Right with Peter Boykin. Please like this post. And please subscribe and follow and share this podcast to all your social media accounts and visit GoRightNews.com for more Go Right News with Peter Boykin. If you like what you hear, help support the podcast by donating. The link to donate is on GoRightNews.com. Thank you for your support.
Check out this news story and more on GoRightNews.com and the podcast #GoRight with Peter Boykin.
Go right and register to vote. Your vote matters, so vote. Go right and vote. #Go Right. Go right. Do right. Be right. Go right. Do right. Be right. Lead right. Think right. Vote right. Vote right. Think right. Lead right. #Go Right. It's time to join the Go Right movement. It is time to #Go Right for America. Join us at GoRight.us and GoRightNews.com. It is time for the Great American Revival, and it is time to #Go Right for America.
Thanks again, everybody, for listening to this, and please share it everywhere. Again, this has been #GoRight with Peter Boykin, a part of GoRightNews.com.